I was starting to feel it. I mean, you're getting close to 50 miles. That was the furthest I had ever run prior to this. And just going into the unknown, like really, really wanting to hit that 100-mile goal, but just not knowing what was going to happen that next 15 miles. I am Jackie Evans. I am 48 years young, and I'm a mom of 4 kids, and I am a distance runner. My background is in road marathons. That's how I started with the distance running. I really caught the bug when I started to see progress. My first marathon, I ran a 4:04. I think my second marathon, I ran a 3:40 and qualified for Boston. After that, I ran a 3:14, so I was taking big chunks of time off, which was super rewarding. So then I put my sights on trying to break 3 hours. And that took a few attempts. One year I ran 3 hours on the nose, 3 hours and 30 seconds. That was tough. And then I came back and ran a 2:59 at Boston in 2013, broke 3 hours for my first time, and my personal best after that was 2:57. My parents were both runners. They ran a race just about every single weekend and dragged me to it as a kid. So I had a very early exposure to road racing. They both were marathoners, and so I did my first race, I believe, when I was about 7 or 8 years old with my mom. I decided to attempt an ultra marathon actually during COVID. The gym that I worked at got shut down. I found myself with a little more time on my hands. I also found that I was working so much that I hadn't really been running as much as I wanted to. So I figured I've done a bunch of marathons. There wasn't a ton of racing going on during COVID, but I did find a 50K, and I figured, why not give this a shot? The race I'm doing is the Chesterfield Gorge 30-hour Ultra, and I picked this race because 15-mile out and back, so I get to come back to my crew every 15 miles instead of them having to chase me around. And I just thought it would be good to do a race close to home, somewhere that was supported by our local running community. My crew is made up of a whole bunch of different people in all areas of my life. I am a personal trainer in my career and a gym manager, and 3 of my clients are coming along for the ride as part of my crew. 2 of those people are going to be pacing me also. And what's really neat about that is that 15-mile stretch is going to be their longest run to date. So not only is this a huge challenge for me, it's going to be a challenge for them also. I also have my husband by my side, who I always say is, he's my rock, he's my support. He knows how to calm me down when I'm kind of spiraling. And then I also have my best friend Julie and her fiance Tom, who are both marathon runners, Ironman triathletes, so that's going to be awesome. And then I have 2 of my kids on my crew, which is super special. I have my daughter, who is going to be carrying me through miles 75 to 90 on the course as my pacer, and my son Colin, who is doing all of the filming and a film major at college right now, is going to be out there with the camera chasing us around, so it's just awesome. Yeah, training for a marathon and training for an ultra marathon are pretty similar in the sense that you're running pretty high mileage. I would say that the only difference with the ultra marathon is this time in my training I did a lot of back-to-back long runs. So you're definitely out there for longer, and the terrain is different too, which is awesome because as I've gotten older, I just find that the road has really beaten up my body, so being able to be in the woods is just a nice shift. So last year I found myself with a pretty unfortunate injury. I ended up with plantar fasciitis after qualifying for the Boston Marathon again. I really wanted to go back in 2023 because it was the 10-year anniversary of the bombing, and I had been there that year. So I went out, I qualified again so that I could run, and then I ended up with an injury and I didn't get to start. So I took about 6 months off from running, which is probably the longest time that I've actually chosen to take off. My body had so many weaknesses. I just kept getting injured trying to push the volume. And so I decided to completely stop. And I took about 6 months of heavy duty strength training in a way that I had never really done it myself before. I've trained my clients that way plenty, but I really started lifting heavy. I tried to put on as much muscle as possible so that when I did return to running, I was going to be strong. I focused on my hip strength, I focused on mobility, and just getting myself ready to come back to running again. That was the best decision I could have ever made. I've been surprised by how much volume I've been able to put on my body, how my body has been able to withstand all the back-to-back runs, and it feels stronger than it's ever felt before. So it was definitely the right choice to stop, rebuild, and come back stronger than ever. Mental preparation for this race is something you can try to achieve, but I think once you get in it, you're really going to find out what it's going to take. I've listened to a ton of podcasts on my runs, my favorite being the Choose Strong podcast that Sally McRae, the professional ultra runner, puts out. She has awesome motivation and tips on how to get yourself mentally strong for what it's going to take to run 100 miles. One of the things that I did hear out of Sally's podcast along the way was, this is a choice. I'm lining up on that start line. I have paid money to do this. This is something that I'm choosing to do, and it is going to be hard, and I know that going into it. But relating to everyday life or things that I've gone through, I have gone through some really tough times in my life. And those are times that you can't quit. You can't just walk off the course. You have to sit through them, you have to stay in the pain, you have to be resilient, you have to be strong. And so those are all the things I'm going to remind myself when I'm out there, that, you know, I've been through hard times. I can do hard things. I can do this. I have to just keep moving forward. And yeah, I could quit. I could walk off the course and all the pain would go away and that would be it. But what do I want to talk about tomorrow? So the morning of the race, the nerves were definitely there, but the excitement was there also. We got to the race start and it was a little chilly, which was good. Better than the heat that was predicted for the day, so it was good to start out when it was a little bit cooler. All the athletes were arriving, the energy was high. It was something to take in for sure. So first lap started out pretty good. It started on a downhill, which always is not the best for me. I think it's something with the adrenaline in my legs and maybe the coolness of the morning. Kind of right off the bat, my quads felt toasted, which is always my problem area. Start out like that kind of taxed me right away, but what I had learned previously at Vermont 50 was you just need to slow down. I walked a little bit when I needed to. The uphills for sure, walked those. But overall felt good though. Finished that first 15 miles feeling pretty strong.
There she is. Here we go. Woo! You're so dirty. Oh my gosh. How you feeling?
That's a lot more tense than I don't know.
So after the first lap, it was awesome to come back into the aid station, see my crew, get some, refueled, try to eat some real food, and then headed back out for the second lap.
I think it was probably what we expected. I think we had a plan to know at least if she was going really fast, which I kind of expected her to, but I'm glad she didn't. So she feels like crap right now, but I think that's because she came off the taper and she always feels like crap. So I just had to remind her that you should feel like crap. I think it'll get better. I hope it gets better. So totally experimental. We'll see what happens. Coming at you from race headquarters. So we have a plan, and the plan is for everything to go to shit and then make a new plan. So.
The miles were just ticking by. The second lap was awesome. I felt really good, and it went by really fast, and was excited to get back again to see my crew. And more people had come out to spectate. I had some friends come out along the way, so that was fun to come back and see everybody and refuel again. I got to run for a while with one of the girls that was volunteering that I had only been chatting with all these years over Instagram, so it was really fun to finally meet her in person and share some miles.
Nah,
That and a little sleep. It was cool.
she needs to swig a bunch of the juice.
Is this the start? Sleep late?
Feel like I am. Yeah. Quads are a little twingy,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna walk a little more.
5 rollers.
Yeah. There's some steep parts, but I'm just walking everything now of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You look really good.
Look strong out there.
Do you have to go to the south back?
Head back out for that third lap, which then, you're heading more into the upward miles. You're hitting that 50K mark. And that lap went relatively well also, although it was getting really hot. There's one section on the course that was unshaded for probably about 6 to 7 miles probably, and they call that the boiler room too, that aid station. It can get pretty toasty.
That was a 3:09 lap.
Yep, she went out at 9:10
Yep,
and came in at what, 9?
12:19. Yep. So that was a 3:09. That's 12 and a half minute miles. She was out at 12:39, and she was in for almost 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a long time.
Just
Yeah, 20 minutes. Too much.
She said she needed it.
I know. So hopefully the next one will be quick, but she's probably gonna need to change clothes next time.
More food.
She's gonna need to eat more food, but 3:30 should be the end of the warmest part of the day. So we should start to, like, her next clothing change shouldn't happen for a while, probably not until dark. So
When I got back, towards, you could start hearing like the crowds cheering and everything, and coming up over the hill and seeing all my crew members plus family members, like my other son Cameron had come out, and his girlfriend Erica were there, and his buddy Liam and everything. And then my daughter Tori had arrived, and her fiance Jimmy, and people from the gym had come and out, and I just didn't expect it. The cheering and the signs, I had some of my friends' kids were there holding signs. It was just awesome. And definitely was ready to pick up my pacer. It was hot, it was awesome. The race director, shout out to Amy, she was great. She was there with a sponge pouring it over my head. So that was fantastic for sure. So when I came back into the aid station it was probably about mile 47, 48. And you're coming off the high of seeing all your people there cheering for you and everything. But honestly, I was starting to feel it. I mean, you're getting close to 50 miles. That was the furthest I had ever run prior to this. And just going into the unknown, like really, really wanting to hit that 100-mile goal, but just not knowing what was gonna happen that next 15 miles. So I took a little bit longer that time. I actually fully changed my clothes, which felt great, changed my shoes out, and then I picked up my pacer, Robin, which was great to have some company out there. We started out pretty chatty, I would say the first out, all the way out to the aid station, I was feeling pretty surprisingly good. Was still running pretty good after mile 50 and everything. And then once we hit the aid station, fueled up and came around for the turnaround, things definitely started to get hard. And after that, my legs just weren't working great, so we did quite a bit of walking. Kind of went into a dark place in my head for sure. So I would say that was probably the worst low of the race. And I just kept bargaining with myself, that you just got to get back, to the aid station, and then you can kind of like take a rest, you can recompute. I got to the point where I could not eat. So that definitely was the worst part. The nausea was starting to come over the course of the last, probably from 40 miles on. And I kept trying to consistently every 30 minutes just put that food back in my system. I knew it was so important, because if you get calorie deficient, like coming back after that is super, super hard. So that kind of made the race turn a little bit, unfortunately. So by the time we got back to the aid station, it was dark. We had our headlamps, and I checked in at the aid station, and then I said to my crew, I need to go back to the camp. I need to try to get some food in my system. Sat down in a chair and proceeded to sit there for about an hour and a half with a bowl of ramen in my lap. I just was in a dark place in my head. My body was not happy at all. I was super nauseous. I felt like if I was going to eat anything, it just wasn't going to stay down. I felt like my nervous system was just on overtime. About an hour and a half in the aid station, lots of talking with my crew about whether or not I was going to try to go back out. My legs were pretty locked up, pretty cramped up, and at that point I had finished 100K. And that had always been my B goal, was to finish 100K, and my A goal was to finish the 100 miles. I gotta take a break. I haven't really recapped all this since that night. So, yeah. So overall, just completely exhausted, and had made that 100K goal. So the thought of going back out and potentially walking 40 miles in the cold When I could barely get out of the chair, I decided with my crew to call it at 100K for that race, which was definitely hard because I had probably 14 hours to play with. So, looking back, I'm always going to question, should I have waited like a few hours? Should I have laid down and tried to get warm and, try to get some more nutrition in and gone back out? But honestly, this is only my fourth ultra that I've ever done. And like I said previously, it is such a learning process. So I think it might take another attempt, if not a few more attempts, to try to figure out that last 40 miles. But this isn't the end, that's for sure. It kind of just lit a fire in me to get that finished the next time around. I'm just so thankful that I have such a solid crew with me. It was awesome. They're the ones that got me that far.